There, welcome to our final video on changing the subject of the formula. This is the most complicated one of all. This is where you've got a fraction where x is both on the numerator and denominator. To be super good at this particular skill, you need to be able to solve equations like this. I'm going to use them to help us get the idea of how to make x the subject of the formula, where x is on numerator and denominator, but you really need to go back to your building blocks if you look at that and think, I'm clueless how to solve. So let's start by doing this example, leading us into examples of changing the subject of the formula. Okay, here we go. How would you solve this? Pause the video and have a go. Right, first things first is x is on the numerator and denominator. I need to multiply both sides by x add 2 to remove this x add 2 here. So I'm going to multiply by x add 2 here, and I'm going to multiply by x add 2 here. The benefit of that is that x add 2 is now cancelled on the left hand side, and we're left with 3x is equal to 5 brackets x add 2. My only option is to expand the bracket, so 3x is therefore equal to 5x add 10. If you don't mind, I'm going to write most x's on the left hand side. Let me just rewrite that as 5x add 10 is equal to 3x. Now I need to collect all the x's together, so let me subtract 3x from both sides. And I don't want that add 10 here anymore, so let me subtract 10 off both sides as well and tidy up. So what will I get myself? Well, I'm going to get myself 2x is therefore equal to negative 10, and dividing both sides by 2, I would get myself that x is therefore negative 10 divided by 2, which is negative 5, and I would be done. Now let's try and apply that logic to changing the subject of the formula and making x a subject in this case. Can you see I've just swapped the 3 with an A? Can you see I've just swapped the 2 with a B? And can you see I've just swapped the 5 with a C? Pause the video and see if you can do that. Okay, same thing applies. I don't like an x on the denominator, so why don't I multiply both sides of the equation or the formula by x add b? That's my only option. That cancels the x add b here, and I'm left with ax is going to equal c x add b. Okay, now because I knew there was more x's here, I knew there was 5x's here. Cx is not necessarily more than ax. I don't know which of them is bigger, so just leave the x's here. It doesn't matter here. But let's expand. We have to expand to get that x out of its bracket. So let's just write therefore that ax is going to equal cx add cb. I'm going to write that the other way around, bc, isn't it? Alphabetical order. Okay, now let's get all the x's together. Let's subtract cx off both sides and leave that bc over there, because that's nothing to do with x's. So what will I get? Well, I'm going to get myself on the left hand side ax subtract cx is equal to bc. Now I want x all by itself. There's an x here and an x here. How do I extract that x? That's right, factorize out that x, and you'd get a subtract c is equal to bc. And I'll divide both sides by a subtract c in order to get that x all by itself, and I'll have myself x is therefore bc over a subtract b, and I'm done. I made x the subject of the formula in that really difficult case there. Let's try another one. Let's start by solving an equation like this. Okay, if you haven't tried, what I would do is I'd multiply both sides by 2x add 3. That seems the obvious option here, in order to cancel the 2x add 3 on the denominator on the left hand side. That would leave me with 6 subtract 3x is equal to 5 brackets 2x add 3. My only option is to expand the right hand side, so I would get myself 10x add 15. I know there's more x's here. If you don't mind, I'm just going to write that the other way around. 10x add 15 is equal to 6 subtract 3x. I need all the x's together. I need all the numbers together on the right, all the x's on the left. So why don't I, to undo that subtract 3x, why don't I add 3x to both sides? Seems like a good idea. And to remove that add 15, let me subtract 15 off both sides, yeah? Let's tidy that up there, and I'm going to get myself 10x add 3x is 13x. 6 subtract 15 is negative 9. Then I'm going to divide both sides by that 13 there, and negative 9 divided by 13 is just x is equal to negative 9 over 13. We're done. Let's see if we can apply that to a really complicated change of subject. Pause and have a go yourself first. First things first, I need to get x off the denominator here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by cx add d. It's my only option. That cancels the cx add d there, and I'm left with a subtract bx is equal to e cx add d. Then I'm going to multiply out that bracket. So let's just write a subtract bx is equal to ECX, but I'm going to write the C first, CEX in alphabetical order, and E multiplied by positive D is ED, but again write the D first, so that's plus DE. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this because I've got negative BX there, so I'm just going to rewrite it the other way around, so I have CEX add DE is equal to A subtract BX, if you don't mind, just so the positive amount of x's is on the left hand side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add bx to both sides, so I combine the amount of x's, and I'm going to subtract de from both sides, so I remove that from there. Tidying up, what do I have? Well, I'm going to have for myself cex add bx is therefore equal to a subtract de. Now how do I extract the x from here and here? I'm going to factorize out that x, aren't I? So factorizing that x, I'm going to get ce plus b in the bracket a subtract de, and then I'm going to divide both sides by ce plus b, so divide both sides by ce add b, and I get myself x, the subject of the formula. X is therefore a subtract de all divided by ce add b, and we're done for that one. So I'm going to end with two monster examples for you to try. Pause the video and have a go for each one. Pause, have a go. Right, as before, there's x on the denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3cx add 2 on that side and on that side. That cancels the 3cx add 2 here, and I'm left with 3 subtract 5bx is equal to 5e squared 3cx add 2. Right, let's multiply out the bracket. That's our only option here. So what do we get? Well, 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. E squared multiplied by c, we'd write the c first, then the e squared, and then the x. And 5e squared multiplied by positive 2 is positive 10e squared. Now if you don't mind, because there's an x on both sides and here there seems like positive x, I'm just going to rewrite it the other way around. So I want all the x's together, so I'm going to add 5bx to both sides to remove that subtract 5bx, so let me do that. And let me subtract 10e squared from both sides, if you don't mind. And let's see what I get left with. Here I've got 15 ce squared x add 5bx is equal to 3 subtract 10e squared I'm going to get. Now I've got an x here and an x here. To extract that x, I'm going to factorize, so I would get myself x 15 ce squared add 5b is equal to 3 subtract 10e squared, and dividing both sides by this here, I would get myself x as the subject of the formula is equal to 3 subtract 10e squared all divided by 15 ce squared add 5b. And obviously you could have written those the other way around, but there you go, an absolute behemoth of a question there, and we've solved it. Let's give ourselves one more. Pause the video, have a go. Now, there is an x on the denominator here and on the numerator, but the whole thing is wrapped around a square root. So there's an extra step at the start. Let's square both sides to undo that square root. If I square both sides, I would get myself b subtract 5x is therefore going to be 1/9. Okay? Now, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3x add c. Okay? So let's multiply both sides by 3x add c. And what will I get myself? Well, I'll get b subtract 5x is going to be equal to 1/9 3x add c. Now, rather than multiplying 1/9 into both of those, wouldn't it be a really good idea to just get rid of these fractions? They're annoying us. How could you get rid of the fraction 1 divided by 9? Well, you could multiply both sides of the equation by 9, couldn't you? So let's do that. That would give me 9, and let's just put a bracket, b subtract 5x is equal to, they cancel, you would just get 3x add c. Now let's multiply out this bracket, and we're going to get 9b subtract 45x is going to equal 3x add c. Now I've got negative 45x here. I'm going to write the positive on the right hand side. So I'm going to write 3x add c. I'm just swapping the way around I write it, is 9b subtract 45x. So let's get all the x's together. Oof, I'm running out of breath here. This is a hard one. I'm going to add 45x to both sides. To undo that, add c. I'm going to subtract c from both sides. What am I going to get myself? Well, I'm going to get myself 48x here, and I'm going to get myself here 9b subtract c. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 48 in order to get my final answer, and there we go. I've done it somehow. 9b subtract c, all divided by 48. Wow, we have answered a real hard question there. And that's it for this video. Thanks loads for watching.